Welcome to WINN Cast, the podcast from WINN. Gain insight and tips from key leaders from GFS and other entities to help you grow in your career and take you behind the scenes of the financial industry. We want to help you stay ahead of the curve in an ever-changing industry. So whether you are a young professional or senior one looking for inspiration, our podcast is for you. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome to episode 2 of the WINN Cast. My name is Raghu. I am the head of investment banking in Asia Pacific for Natixis CIB. And I'm here with Miranda, our head of APAC M&A. We are delighted to be hosting the second podcast of this series. Today we're going to be chatting about our careers, the M&A industry in Asia Pacific, as well as our personal experiences around diversity, equity and inclusion, particularly in the banking industry. So Miranda, could you start off by telling us a little bit about your career journey? What inspired you to become a banker and an M&A banker in particular?
Well, growing up, investment banking or M&A was not necessarily on top of mind at all. When I was in second year of university, it was the time that the global bulge bracket started to recruit local Chinese students for their China offices. And that's how I started with my investment banking career. I really enjoyed M&A because every deal is different and you have to be very technical and also very creative. I moved to Natixis CIB around 4 years ago as head of M&A for Asia Pacific. I am responsible for leading the M&A team and working closely with our coverage team, sector bankers, as well as M&A boutiques in APAC region and globally. As you know, Natixis has a multi-boutique approach to our M&A globally and in the region of 2 partners, Azure Capital in Australia and Vermilion Partners in China. This approach to M&A is very interesting and unique because we get opportunity to work as a client together with our sector teams and with our boutique partners, as well as coordinating with other product lines to provide one-stop solutions for our clients. Well, I've shared quite a bit about myself. So Raghu, you've also worked in banking across the continent. Could you share more about your career?
I would say I've had an atypical career in finance. I started my career first of all, in economic research at Harvard University. I had aspirations to do my PhD. But then I ended up at a hedge fund called Bridgewater Associates, which is an iconic hedge fund. Then I went to Wall Street. And over the last 20 years, I worked with 2 American banks, 1 British bank, and now a French institution. I've also worked in 2 different geographies, United States and Asia Pacific. And what that has really taught me is how to be adaptable in various contexts and more importantly, in various cultures. But one thing I realized is that Asia Pacific is a very interesting place to do banking because it's incredibly diverse and people come from all different countries and different cultures, which I'm fortunate to have worked with. And Miranda, for those people who are not familiar with the banking landscape, can you share why this is an interesting environment to work in?
Sure. Asia Pacific region has clearly become one of the global growth engine. The high growth prospects of the emerging Asian economics and the overall emerging market landscape making it one of the main driving forces of the global M&A market. Emerging economics like China, India, and countries in Southeast Asia coexist with sizable mature developed markets such as Japan, Korea, and Australia. All this makes Asia Pacific a key strategic market globally with a unique combination of both scale and growth profile for global business. What I can say about the current M&A market is that there's no lack of capital. We are seeing record level of dry power, plenty of opportunities, and many well-capitalized companies gearing up to transact to transform. At the moment, companies are thinking about what they can do to stay ahead of future competition and proactively reposition their portfolios. And importantly, longer-term structure shifts, such as the digital transformation, the revolutionary impact of AI, and the necessity of growing the green economic is creating pent-up demand, all of which makes the M&A deal-making environment very interesting to be at the moment. Speaking of the sheer diversity in the region, Raghu, you recently spoke about how Asia as a continent is starting to integrate more closely across business and commerce. Can you tell us more about what this means for M&A and the deal-making environment?
What that means is the old playbook of doing M&A, particularly cross-border, has fundamentally changed. We are operating now in a VUCA world. volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And that is all because of the rise of geopolitical tensions. The old trade flow between China and US, China and Australia, and China and parts of Europe have fundamentally fallen. But what we see is the rise of intra-Asia M&A. We've seen deals happening between Thailand corporates buying assets across APAC. We've seen Malaysian companies buy assets in Taiwan. We've seen Chinese companies make investments in Singaporeans. Also, another thing that's fascinating which is happening is that given these geopolitical influences, India is emerging as a winner. It's the Goldilocks period for India. Not simply because the marginal dollar is going into India, also because India represents high growth, stable inflation, and a steady FX rate. And they have made investments in their own infrastructure, which is attracting foreign capital. Within intra-Asia M&A, also the government-to-government influences matter. So countries that have positive G2G relationships, I'm thinking, let's say, Middle East to China, investment flows are happening there. Similarly, Singapore has always invested in India as well. That geopolitical influence is impacting the trade and the investment flows and therefore M&A in Asia. But overall, I still feel that Asia is an exciting place for any M&A banker to be.
I couldn't agree more.
Great. Could you share a little bit more about the challenges you have faced as a female banker in M&A? And how did you overcome those to succeed?
I think the key career advice that will help you succeed in M&A is probably the same whether you're a man or woman. Number one, stay curious. If you can embrace your career as a journey of learning, you will appreciate and enjoy it so much more. Number two, try to always put yourself in your client's shoes. What I mean by this is try to see things from your client's perspective. A strong sense of empathy and being able to listen well are critical skills. Number three, anticipate change. In M&A, change is constant. If you can support your clients well through the many changes of their corporate journey, they will value you as a trusted partner. Number four, believe in yourself. Believe that you can achieve what you set out to achieve. Another point I would like to add is try to find a deeper purpose and joy to your work. In any career, you got locked down in the day-to-day works, and it's so important to keep in mind that the bigger picture. And it's always such a satisfactory to see that when your work has a positive impact on the people you're working with and have a meaningful impact on the world.
Miranda, there is a stereotype in the world of M&A that you have to be loud and assertive, and that's usually associated with men. As a female M&A banker, what has been your experience on that dimension?
My key message here is you don't have to act like a man to be successful in M&A. Women can harness their own advantage to be successful. For example, women tend to have a strong sense of empathy, keen observation, good listening skills. You can lean into those skills to be successful in M&A. A good M&A negotiation is not just about winning everything, but finding a solution. You have to have a good sense of observation to understand what people want and find a creative way to reach a win-win scenario. It's about persistence and resilience. It's not about fighting or being the loudest. In fact, a good negotiation tactic sometimes is silence. I can draw a parallel here with another passion of mine, which is exercise and sport. I have a personal trainer license as well as a yoga instructor. In yoga particular, it takes a lot of effort and persistence to get stronger and progress into those really difficult poses. It's not an explosive sport like boxing, and you need to develop a different range of strength and balance to be good at it. Similarly, in M&A, to be good, you need a wide range of skills to be successful. Well, Raghu, let's turn to you because you have a unique perspective with DE&I in that you are a key sponsor of a Natixis CIB WINN network, but more broadly of women in banking in general. Could you share more about your career journey with our listeners and why is sponsoring women in workplace important to you?
Well, Miranda, you already answered why having women in the workplace is important. But my personal experience has been having women brings in a new dimension of thinking, a new skill set or a different skill set, which I think is critical. it is now well understood that D&I is a source of competitive advantage for institutions. My personal journey has been interesting in that I entered American investment banking scene about 20 years ago, and there was not many people of my profile back then in the investment banking space. For instance, pronouncing my name was difficult for a few people. However, I capitalized on my intrinsic strengths and continued to work hard. I was also very much in the growth mindset. Now, coming to Asia has been amazing because by default, we are working with people and clients from many countries. And there, having diversity in the team actually matters a lot more because you have to interface on a given day with clients from China, from Japan, or from India or Southeast Asia. And within that, having women who are able to provide a different perspective is critical. Well, that's it for today. We really hope you enjoyed the conversation. And if you have a comment or question, please feel free to reach out to Miranda or me on LinkedIn. We will see you next time soon.